First off, let's talk about audio tracks. Audio tracks serve to actually record incoming audio from the inputs of our sound card. And we can do that by selecting an input. We already learned how to connect our sound card and to choose inputs and outputs. Now I can select one of the external inputs and outputs and just record by arming this track, clicking record, and then producing some noise. As you can see, that's recorded now. I can play it back and then producing some noise. Okay, so we can record audio, or we can actually place an already recorded audio file on this track and it will be reproduced for us. So, as you can see, we have this kick drum. We can replay it. We can copy it. And I'm copying holding down Control. On a Mac, it's Command. We can loop that, as we learned in the lesson before. Now, aside of audio tracks being able to record and reproduce already recorded audio material, they can serve as bus tracks in Ableton particularly, but more about routing and audio routing in general in lessons to come. For now, most important thing is for you to know that certain types of tracks are available in almost any DAW, and that is audio tracks, which you just witnessed right now. We have MIDI tracks, group tracks or bus tracks, and return tracks. Of course, along with the master channel, master track right there that I just explained to you in the lesson before, that it's the main track that everything gets summed to. Now that you know what audio tracks are for, and as you can see, it's very simple, we can go over a MIDI track. And a way to create a track, a new track, any kind, audio, MIDI, or return, that we will talk about soon, is I'm going to just exit this full screen mode, pressing F11, so that I can show you. So you can just click the Create menu option and insert an audio track, insert a MIDI track. That's how you get a new MIDI track. Same thing for the audio, just add another one, just like that. And the track is going to be created under the track that was selected. Of course, you can always use a shortcut. You can see that. To insert the MIDI track, it's Control-T. On a Mac, it's Command-T. And to insert the MIDI track, it's Control-Shift-T or Command-Shift-T on a Mac. Same for the return track. We can create another one of those that we will talk about soon. And there is a shortcut for that too. It's just basically swapping this control with the command on a Mac will do the trick. Just like audio tracks, MIDI tracks are used for recording or reproducing MIDI data. And how do we use that? Well, we use it using instruments or samplers. We can add a sampler into this MIDI track, and that instrument that generates sound, which I can actually trigger using my computer keyboard, as we learned in the lesson before, we can actually record that MIDI data onto this track. You see, that track is armed. So now if I was to play something while recording, now we have that recorded. So we have the recorded notes that I played, and we have the instrument that will receive those notes and produce sound for us. The good thing about MIDI is that we can actually change that sound into something else. We have the same notes playing a different sound. Now, why is this so good? Well, it's really good because MIDI allows you to record notation and then change the color of the sound being played, meaning that once I record the notes, I can choose a piano or a violin or a synthesizer or a drum even to be triggered by those notes. Take an analogy from a computer keyboard. You could write a certain text, and that text would have, let's say, Arial Sans font assigned to it. But then the same text, I could just mark it up and change the font. So we'd have the same text, but the letters would look different. it's the same thing with MIDI. Instead of A, B's, and C's, we have the notes C, D, E, F, G, and those notes can play a different font, actually a different color of a synthesizer, of a sampler, or whatever. Now, how else can we use this? Well, we can also use it to trigger samples. And in Ableton, it's really easy to actually just use a MIDI track to do the same thing as we did on the audio track. So let's say we had this kick drum, just like that. We had a beat that just repeated. I'm going to play it for you. So you see a recurring beat. Now, what if we wanted to do the same thing on this MIDI track? We could add a sampler. And we have a really simple sampler here called Simpler. And we use it to actually load the same kick drum into it. And then we can trigger that sample using MIDI. So we can actually make a new MIDI clip or record a new MIDI clip. Now I can create a new MIDI clip by just marking the area I want the clip to take. Once it's created, right-clicking and saying Insert MIDI Clip. And there is a shortcut, of course, for that, Control-Shift-M. I strongly urge you to learn all of the shortcuts you can as soon as possible. This is going to make your music production much faster, and it's going to allow you to pour your ideas into the computer much faster without waiting, because that idea might be there 1 second and might be gone the next. So, having this in your head and doing this much faster with your hands, it just allows you to put your creativity first. And just write in notes like this. Make the same thing using MIDI. Listen. So we're essentially doing the same thing, but we're using MIDI. What's better about it? Well, if we don't like this kick drum, we can just change it for another one. Now imagine if we had to do this on an audio track. We would have to copy every time. And I'm copying this kick drum by just marking an area I want to duplicate. And I could just right-click and say duplicate. It would just duplicate that area right after itself. Or I could use a shortcut that it has, which is Control-D, or on a Mac, Command-D. Just like that. Even though it's faster to do it using shortcuts, you would have to do this with the kick drum for the entire song. That takes a lot of time. So using MIDI, using this kick drum in a sampler is a much smarter decision. Now, if you don't like it, delete, do it again with another kick drum, you get the point. So that's one of the advantages of using MIDI instead of audio. Of course, not always is this the case that we actually want to use a pre-recorded audio file and do something with it. Sometimes we really do need an audio track for many different reasons. But all of these differences and advantages of one over the other in certain cases are going to be mentioned in lessons to come and different courses that we have. For now, it's important that you distinguish the difference between an audio track, which plays out an already recorded audio file, and a MIDI track that is actually nothing else but something that emits or receives MIDI messages and gives them forward or records them. So the MIDI messages on this channel could be forwarded to an instrument, which is going to use those MIDI messages, those notes, to play a sound for us, or we could record MIDI on that channel. Now, as you can notice, both audio and MIDI can reproduce, so have an output of sound or information, and also have an input of information. So they can also receive input of, respectively, audio or MIDI information, and they can also reproduce audio or MIDI. So they do have inputs and outputs. This is what we meant by inputs and outputs. On our sound card, in our MIDI interfaces, we use inputs on our sound card or MIDI interface to actually receive audio or MIDI, and write them down on our channels, or we use outputs to reproduce through the outputs what we already have written down on our audio and MIDI channels respectively. Now we will go into routing much more, but as of now, I could tell you that another type of track, which is really important in music production, at least for me, because I use them a lot, it helps me a lot in my mixing, is group tracks. And we can group these two tracks by just selecting them and right-clicking either one of those and pressing group tracks, or using the shortcut Ctrl-G, or on a Mac, Command-G, and include them in one group track, as we call it a bus. Now these two tracks belong or are included in this group track, which means that the output, anything we reproduce from either one of these tracks, actually is routed into this group track. So any audio coming out of these first gets routed into this group track, meaning that any effect that we put on this group track will be on both of these. So they get summed up together into one sound, and then that one sound flows from this group track, meaning that if we want to apply any effects to both of these, we could just as easily put it on this group track, and everything that goes through it will be affected by a certain effect. Now this helps us too, because now the volume of both of these is controlled right here. On this group track, we can lower the volume of everything that goes through it to be lower, higher. We can alter the panning to go left and right. So many different things are really good when talking about group tracks. We use them to sum our audio tracks together so that we could alter them all together. So we use group tracks to sum pieces of our song together. Let's say all of the drums. I would put all of the drums in this one group track, and all of my drums would be heard through this group track. So if I wanted to do something to the drums, apply an effect, or make their volume lower or higher, I could do that using this group track. I wouldn't have to go into each one of these and do it separately. I could just control all of my drums or whatever is in this group track through its controls. And all of the effects I would apply to this group track would be applied to everything which is routed to this group. Now, another type of tracks that we can deal with, and it has a lot to do with routing with these two, are return tracks. Now, what are these? Well, as we will come to routing in later lessons, for starters, you should know that each one of these tracks, as we talked about it, has an input and an output. So discretely, the output of this audio track goes into this group, and I can change its name, of course, into, let's say, 1, 2, 3, and then it's routed into this group because it belongs in that group. I could just as easily pull it out. Now it's routed into the master channel directly, but it's routed into this group channel, and then this group channel is routed into the master, and that master channel is routed into the output of our sound card so we can hear it. Now this is called routing, and this is the routing of the outputs of these channels. So we always know where the signal being reproduced from this channel is going to, into the group, then group into the master, master into our sound card, and we hear it. Now mixing can be not so straightforward. We can send a piece of this to audio track. Aside of going into the group and group going into the master, we hearing the master, we can send a piece of that audio, a copy of that audio track, into our return tracks. These are called sends because we are sending a copy of this same audio coming out of here. We're sending a copy of that into this track, or we are sending a copy of that into this track. And we are sending a copy in a certain amount, certain volume. So we can choose how loud this copy being sent into this or this track is going to be. Now, once we send that copy over there, let me just delete these effects, which are there by default, just for demo purposes. Once we send anything from this channel into this one, it's also heard right here. So let's make an example out of that. Let me add a kick drum. Now you will see that this kick drum is going to appear on this track, on the group, in the master, of course, and then again, it will appear on this return track, which also goes into the master. So for now, I'm just going to turn it off so we don't have a double kick drum playing, just to show you how this sending works. Okay, so let's try it. While playing, so as you see, it also appears on this return track, meaning that we can also hear it right there. If I turn it on, this kick drum is going to be really loud. I'm going to pull down my master volume and display this to you. Why louder? Because we have it twice now. We have one coming from here into the group, into the master, and then we have another copy in the same strength. This is all the way 0 dB, so the same volume that it comes out of here, it comes out of here too, unless we touch the volumes at any point in gain stage. Now, why would we use this? Why would we need a copy of the same track again somewhere else? Well, we might want to apply a certain effect to that copy, not to the original. We still want the original to sound the same as it was, but we might want to apply a certain effect only to the copy, so that we have the original and the affected copy playing at the same time. Now let's try an audio effect that could display this for you just as an example. So let's say we have this reverb effect, and once I play it, I'll show you what's heard out of this track. So aside of having it go to the group, I can just say sends only, meaning that the output of this track is not functioning anymore. It's only the sends that are functioning, only the copies being sent out further. Anything that comes out of it directly doesn't go anywhere anymore. So once I play it, we'll only hear the copy coming through this reverb effect, and then that copy is going to the master, out to a sound card. You get the idea. So let's hear what's right there. So that's the effect we're getting. So if we join that with the original one, going to the group going to the master, and then again this copy going to a reverb, that reverb going to a master, we get the reverberation effect, like this. So essentially, now we can add that reverberation effect by just sending a copy of this kick drum to a return track that has a reverb effect on it. Very easy. We use return tracks for many other purposes. For this demo, I'm choosing the simplest one that can creatively depict for you why we would need something like this. Now in the end, let's talk about the master channel. Master channel is the one where all the sounds usually converge. So all the tracks, no matter where they're routed to, in the end flow to the master track. You can look at it this way, going backwards from your output, your speakers into the output of your sound card. This is the final funnel where all the sounds gather and join into. They all sum up down into the master track, which is later sent to the speakers, to your sound card, and replayed for you. So everything goes into the master channel. All the tracks before, the return tracks, the MIDI tracks, the audio tracks, and the group tracks are variable in routing. In the end, all the rivers flow into the sea, as you would say. So all of these channels, in the end up in the master channel for us to hear them.